Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Ask UWI session, our Ask UWI informative online virtual session, where we are here to answer questions about whatever you have about the topic of the day. And today we have our Ask UWI session on our major in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. So if you were thinking about doing this program and you weren't sure about a couple of things, maybe you had one or two questions, today is the day for you. We've had this session for several other programs, and we are having this session again for our major in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. So good afternoon to all those persons who I'm seeing logging on now. We have Kevin and Marsha, Sulan and Luana. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to our Ask UWI session. We're going to chat with you all about the program. So you're going to hear all about the program, what courses we do, career opportunities and everything, and then you can ask your questions. Now, again, you can ask your questions in our chat because we have Dr. Tadio and the team right here in the background waiting to answer all your questions, or we would love to hear from you. So you can use your raise hand tool, use the tool, and I would see you, call upon you, and we'd love to hear your voice. Again, welcome to our Ask UWI session. My name is Nataki Kerr. I'm the Manager of Brand and Student Recruitment Marketing here at the University of the West Indies, and we would love to have you join us on our campus for July 2024. We want to make sure you get all your questions answered because remember, our deadline date for applications to come to UWI St. Augustine is July 31st. So make sure and have all your questions answered this afternoon. Again, with us today, we have Dr. Ronald Rupnarayan, who is a senior lecturer in the program. We also have with us Dr. Gaius Eudoxy, who is the Deputy Dean of Outreach in the Faculty of Food and Agriculture and a key player in this program. We have Miss Angelina Pacheco, who is a current student now finishing up her year one program. And she's just going to chat with us a little this afternoon about the student perspective, because we always want to hear how it is for an actual student in the program. And bringing up the rear, we have Ms. Luana Ramgati from our admissions team, who will be here to answer any question you may have in terms of requirements. Maybe you weren't sure what you need to get into the program. She's going to help us answer those questions. So let's start right away with an introduction by Dr. Ronald Rupnarayan, who will tell us a little bit about our program. Dr. Rupnarayan.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. So permit me to share my screen. I have a short presentation, which I hope will help in providing some visuals and helping us remember what the program itself is about. So this program, as you could tell from the name, deals with disaster risk resilience, and both from an agricultural perspective and from an environmental perspective. Many of us, in terms of the general public, sometimes separate agriculture and the environment. And the fact is that these two things interact so closely with each other that it is imperative that we study them from a risk perspective in a combined form. So the program itself focuses on agriculture and the environment, as I mentioned, and it is meant to facilitate the incorporation of modern frameworks and concept into management plans. We all know that throughout the Caribbean, we are very vulnerable to natural hazards, and bear in mind that a hazard only becomes a disaster when it affects people. So critically, how we manage this, how we deal with hazards is related to the level of disaster that it translates to subsequently, which is why this program is such an important thing for the Caribbean region. It also looks at innovations, climate smart strategies, technologies, and looks at increasing our food system resilience as well, because we know that the Caribbean imports a significant amount of the food that we consume, which makes us very vulnerable to global shocks, etc. So it's something that we must address as well. It also provides students with the technical capacity to conduct and analyze and apply disaster management strategies. We also recognize the need for integrating what we call indigenous knowledge or community-based knowledge into our programs, because many times as academics or technical persons within a discipline, we view things from a particular lens. And at the same time, there have been people coping with floods, coping with droughts, coping with hurricanes for X amount of years, and their experience on the ground is also important. So that is also incorporated into the program. Why did we develop this program? Well, there was a critical gap in terms of the tertiary level education as it relates to disaster risk management in general. So many of the persons who work in the disaster management field now, whether it's in the, for locally for Trinidad, for the EMA or the ODPM, any other disaster preparedness agencies, including the disaster preparedness arms of the regional corporation, the majority have no formal training in disaster risk resilience. They may have had an environmental management degree or natural resources or something similar, but not specific in terms of disaster risk management. Then, obviously, we understand the challenges with climate change. We understand our vulnerability because of our small size, our economies, our complicated soil types, etc., and our terrain. And because of that, it is also important for us to manage disasters to ensure that we build climate resilience going forward. And we are also signatory to lots of international agreements that sort of mandates that countries do that. So an example of that is the Sendai Framework, as well as the UN Agenda 2030, which may be commonly referred to as the SDGs, right? We also, as I mentioned before, under unique circumstances, Caribbean states are very vulnerable. The sector, agricultural sector, is one of the most vulnerable sectors. We have a significant amount of environmental degradation as well. In addition to that, the program is designed to equip disaster risk managers, agriculturalists, environmentalists with technical capacity and practical capacity to function competently in this budding discipline. And it builds upon these principles, some of which I would have mentioned before. So the Sendai Framework, the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Agenda 2030, as I mentioned, and the Samoa Pathway, which is really just an agreement or a pathway that speaks to small island developing states, indicating that we have special circumstances. And as you could see, I integrated some throughout the presentations. There are graphics that highlight some of the disasters that we have faced, at least in Trinidad, over the last couple of years. This is what the course will cover, the entire program. This is a major, so you also have the opportunity to do this with another major, which will widen your horizons. So a degree could comprise of 2 majors, or a major and 2 minors, right? So this is a major that you could combine with another major within the faculty, which some options are from our sister department in geography, where you could do a major in disaster risk resilience combined with a major in environmental and natural resources management. And you could also do it with geography, so a major in this plus geography. And from DFP, you could also explore doing it with agricultural technology. And you could also explore other majors within the faculty from the Department of Agricultural Economics and Extension, if that is what you want to focus on. So this here is just really highlighting some of the programs, some of the courses that are attached to the program. So you see it's very wide-ranging, has a fair amount of coverage. You have courses that deals with crop and livestock fundamentals, introduction to natural hazards, environmental sustainability. And then when you go into year 2, you get into more of the assessment components, where you look at risk assessments, analysis, you look at climate change adaptations. You also have the options to do electives, as you see at the bottom there, that deals with energy, resources, and sustainability, meteorology and climatology. You also could look at geophysical methods for soil environmental sensing. You could also do statistics. And in year 3, you do things like sustainable land management and water resources management. And you see the course that I mentioned here that is very, very important is looking at community engagement and practice, where we try to integrate community or indigenous knowledge into the program itself. And also we have a course that deals with policy and legislation as well. And for those of you who are interested in modern things, we have the Geographic Information Systems course, so you'll be able to do that as well. And we also provided an option here for students who want to do a research project that is attached to the project in their attached to the program in their final year related to disaster risk. So you could do something like vulnerability assessments. You could even, it depends on your areas of interest, but there's that opportunity for you to do a research project as well. After you do this program, you should be able to do all these things. So function efficiently as an agriculture and environmental disaster risk manager, contribute towards national and regional strategies, improve functionality and relevance of regional disaster risk management units. And for Trinidad, at least, all regional corporations has a disaster risk management unit, which is currently being furnished by persons who may not have been afforded the opportunity to have a formal program like this beforehand. We also should be able to improve and adapt agricultural systems towards improved resilience. And you could integrate international frameworks because you will be exposed to it and development plans to assist in the regional attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. This is I'm just going to go through this very quickly. In the process of getting the program approved, we would have sought advice and validation from a group of organizations regionally. So we have regional and developmental agencies such as the Global Water Partnership, the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, CRIF SPC. And I should also mention while I'm doing this that students who enroll into this program have the opportunity to access CRIF scholarships because they have endorsed this program as well, right? And you're seeing Cardi and Canary, some of these institutes you may be familiar with. We also very quickly would have gotten endorsements from regional and national state agencies. Some of them are included here. So you see EMA, ODPM, WASA, Ministry of Environment and KITS, etc. And that's about it from me. I hope that I would have highlighted the program. I just thank you guys for your attention and hope that you would have gained a better insight or understanding of what this program has to offer. And if you have any questions going forward, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Bye.
I think I was on mute there. Thanks very much, Dr. Rupnarain. I think for me, what I especially liked at the end there is the beautiful view of our campus, because remember that at the end of this session, we want to make sure that all our attendees like Amrika and Cyriel and Kevin and Sulan and Marsha and Luana and everybody who's here, we want to make sure that you all have all your questions answered to come join us on our beautiful campus. So you just got a lovely view, and that's just one snippet of the beauty of the ambience that we have here with us at our St. Augustine campus. And we want to make sure that you will have all your questions answered so that you can join us here in September 2024. So thanks very much, Dr. Rupnarain. And as we move on, I would like to introduce Dr. Gayus Eudoxie, who will also tell us a bit more about what career opportunities are available, because sometimes we aren't sure what area we should study, what we can do afterwards. So he'll just delve a little bit into the career opportunities that we have if you study our major in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. Dr. Eudoxie?
Thank you so very much, Ms. Kerr, our host, and let me say a pleasant good day to all of our attendees. Thank you so very much for giving us your time this afternoon to share with you a little bit about this new and very relevant program in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. So following on from where my colleague, Dr. Rupnarain, would have left, I know he would have covered with you all areas that we focus on in the program and what the program structure looks like. And he would have also identified the significance of this program. And this picture really is to capture the significance of this particular program and where we want to go with it. If you recall, I know you're young, you're not that young, you recall the 2021 SUFRE volcano eruption in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's the kind of hazards that we face within our small nations. And there's a need to make sure that we do have resource and capacity for us to be able to deal with and manage these hazards. And while this is a natural hazard, we also recognize that some hazards are also human-related hazards. So the essence of it is to build that capacity and to ensure that we have resilience. So what I want to share with you is a little bit about what career and opportunities there are for persons who pursue this particular major at our faculty and within our university, and what steps you need to get to those particular careers. So I want to start off by sharing with you all what a disaster cycle looks like. And if you recall from Dr. Rupnarai's presentation, he was very clear that a disaster only happens when a hazard is exposed to, or persons or the population is exposed to a hazard. So we recognize that there are 4 key segments within this particular cycle. Yeah, mitigation, where we try to address issues prior to this particular hazard. Preparation, making sure that we recognize that hazard exists and take precautionary approaches to deal with it. Response, what happens after that risk or that hazard is if we are exposed to it, and lastly, recovery. So I will tell you a lot of our efforts in the past has been made in the recovery phase. So even from a academic perspective, there's a lot of attention surrounding recovery phase and response phase. But I will try to break up the various types of opportunities across those 4 key segments of the disaster cycle. So when you think about mitigation and you try to understand what we're aiming for, which is really to have proactive protectionary approaches to addressing disasters, and particularly things like assessing our vulnerability and our susceptibility. There are many areas that this particular program will be to us. Some of them I identified here, risk mitigation planners, researchers, academics like Ronald, myself, and some of our other colleagues that are here. In that we support the community in collective research with regards to things like meteorological factors, climatic variables, land and water variables, and try to understand how those variables then lead to potential vulnerabilities and hence risk. As well, we have persons such as climate change specialists. And I want us to pay attention to the nouns inside of there, because I'll try to explain what those nouns mean. So you hear me talk about things like planners, specialists, officers, coordinators, etc. And they do have a different meaning, particularly in regards to where you want to see yourself along the career chain. So as we move along, we go to preparedness. And preparedness really speaks about, again, that proactive step before we are exposed to any particular hazard. And it says that there's an opportunity for us to understand the hazard and make sure that we are prepared in case of it. And we do it all the time. You know, hurricane season is coming very soon, and start of June. And we are already getting messages from our various environmental and disaster risk management authorities surrounding that. So that's what preparedness is. So we can talk about communication specialists to give us these warnings and information, social workers to go to communities to help them make sure that they have things in place. We can talk about things like risk reduction and analysts, people who watch the data and assess and input the data so that they can better prepare communities. Preparedness coordinators, that are probably part of our disaster preparedness units. Then we have both response and recovery. Response is directly after, so we're really speaking about our emergency personnel, first responders, second responders, and make sure things are getting done in response to the disaster. So our program will understand how you would respond, particularly to disasters that affect agricultural and environmental systems. So emergency management specialists, response and recovery coordinators, health and safety officers, and just like that, all of them form part of that idea of professionals that we are able to get out of this particular program. On the recovery end, program planners to make sure that we bring it back to mitigation, that doesn't happen again. If we need designing our spaces, particularly our changes in lands, we have to understand what that means with regards to the hazards that we are exposed to. Environmental specialists, project officers, field officers, all of those are critical career options, very important career options that are present. And I've already touched the top of the topic. There are numerous career options that are available as we navigate through disaster risk resilience as well as management type career. What I also wanted to share with you is a bit of an understanding of probably how you can get to that career. Because a lot of people believe that you come in, you do your PSC, and that is where your career ends, and you're supposed to get everything you look forward to when we speak about something like a specialist, or when we speak about, let's say, a disaster planner. Unlikely that with your PSC, that you will do coming from, CAPE or coming from CSEC, it takes you 3 years to go through our BSc program. Unlikely that you ending up from that program immediately into a higher level career. You will certainly have the opportunity to serve as a technician, a research assistant, an officer, like a field officer, somebody that will work with you to collect data and do some analysis. But it may not necessarily be true to career that you are interested in. So what we want to say is that what you have to recognize is that this particular program, our trade program, is providing a foothold as to how you can navigate through that career. As you go through that career, you will also recognize that there are other opportunities that require additional either academic knowledge or experiential knowledge and skills. So you would want to go on to study your MSCs and your PhDs that will bring you to the career that you may have to be on. Right? So a lot of people ask, how do I get to be a researcher? So you don't have to be a researcher if you just navigate and stop at CSEC. You have to come in, you have to do your PSC in the discipline you like, and this discipline we're talking about is the discipline of disaster risk resilience, in agriculture and environment. You continue on, you do your master's and you do your PhD, and you will specialize as a climate change specialist or an expert. And then that takes you to that career if that is where you want to do. So recognize that there are differences. And all I'm saying is that this particular program will give you this opportunity. If you are interested in having a career in disaster risk resilience, and I can tell you, it is extremely topical in our region right now, and there's a huge demand for persons with that type of skill and caliber in our region. I want to encourage you all, don't hesitate at all. Make sure you apply for this particular program. Come and get knowledge and start off this career where you want it to go. Thank you so very much, Chris.
Thanks very much, Dr. Eudoxie. And I think I especially like how you ended, because sometimes persons want to make a difference. They're seeing things happening and want to make a difference, and they want to be part of the solution, and they're not sure how. And this is actually a program that you can do to help you be part of the solution, to help us in the Caribbean, from the Caribbean, by people in the Caribbean. So I think that's really, it hit close to home. So for those of you who weren't sure before what kind of career opportunities there are, how you can move from X to Y, I think this is a program you need to find out more about. We are going to put in the chat an email address that you can email us at the Faculty of Food and Agriculture just to find out more about the program. Maybe you may have some other questions even after we leave this session. We're going to put that email there so that you can ask questions. You can email us. We'll be quite happy to hear from you. We're going to put our links in the chat so that if you need to find out more about the program, we can put the program links. We'll have those program links in the chat for you just now. And again, we really, really want you to ask all your questions. So don't forget, just send us a quick line. Let us know what questions you have. We have our panel of experts here, if I may say so, and we are here to answer all your questions about our program in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. Remember, we do want you to sign up with us. Our deadline date for applications is July 31st. That's July 31st, which will come upon you very quickly. So find out all you need to know about our program. So after that reminder, I'm just going to ask Miss Angelina Pacheco, who is one of our students. We love Angelina. She's coming on. She is now finishing up her year one. She probably just had exams or is in the throes of exams right now. And she's a student, and she's just going to tell you a bit about her perspective and how she found her first year was. So Angelina, all over to you.
Hi, good day. Thank you so much for having me. Well, once again, my name is Angelina Pacheco, and I am one of the year one students for the program. I would actually technically be in my year two because I decided to pick up this major in my second year because I would have been introduced to it through my lecturer, Dr. Ripnarine, And it just seemed so very interesting. I saw the demand for it in our region, not only in the country, but in the region. And okay, without just saying this because my lecturers are here, one of the best things about it so far is my lecturers and just the staff in general, because university can be very scary. It's the first branch into independence after high school. So having that supportive faculty and lecturers behind you makes that transition a lot easier. It is a difficult time being on your own at university this time, especially considering a lot of people might move to campus. So having the support is great. And not only the support part is great from our lecturers, but they teach in a very interesting way. So we have a lot of conversations in class which help to break the ice between students. So rather than there's a prolonged period of time where you don't know your classmates, because of how our lecturers teach and interact with us, we're able to interact with each other better. And before long, we're very close as a class, which is one of the best things that has come out of my degree so far. But aside from that, there's also so many different opportunities we've been able to find through different work experiences, different ways we've been able to volunteer in the community, which has been very exciting. It's helped to build my resume, which I can only imagine as a student is great, because we all have that fear that we're going to graduate and we have nothing on our resume, because we always see that. So having that there's definitely another one of the biggest benefits I've found. Overall, I think as a student, it's been a wonderful experience, and this is just my first year. I can only see it getting better. I enjoy the course content because we always learn this is how we manage the environment. This is what we're supposed to be doing to take care of it. But unfortunately, we're in a state where a lot of things are past the ability to just take care of it. And instead, we need to become more resilient and we need to help recover what is there. And it's a nice way, and there's new perspectives we learn on how to take care of the environment and see about the issues that are there. We get to understand the lack of awareness within our communities, and we get to see how we can approach that, how we can interact with people. So it's definitely another great way of building people skills, learning to interact with the community, seeing how the community sees things like climate change and what we have to do to show them that this is what we need to do to protect our homes. Especially we are on a Caribbean island, getting to see how important it is to take care of it and find and build a more resilient nation is very lovely. So that's a brief summary of my experience as a student. I can't wait to continue my degree. I enjoy it very much. I feel like it's weird to say. Most students are like, I just want to graduate. I am excited for my time here. I've enjoyed it so far, and I can only enjoy it more. Thank you.
Thanks very, very much, Angelina. I really could not have said that any better myself. And it's really good because I think those of us who are not sure if we want to do this course, like Sulan, who is online here, they want to find out how your experience was. And from what you're saying, it really was a wonderful experience. And it's good to know that our lecturers are on point. They have various ways of teaching. So, we have different learners in the classroom who would learn from the practical experience and the discussion and so on. So we're really, really happy to hear that. And I'm quite sure that you will enjoy your second and third year and possibly even be doing your master's here right after that, I'm sure. So thanks very much, Angelina. Again, please ask us your questions. We have some great presentations that have been made already. So far, I know Sulan is enjoying her presentations already. I'm seeing her comment in the chat. And of course, our team is there putting all the information you need in the chat because we want to hear from you. We want you to ask your questions. No question is a silly question. All your questions are valid. We want to make sure that you have all your information on this very current major that we have here, one that can help us change the Caribbean, this place which we love. Our next speaker, I shouldn't say speaker, but our next person to come on screen will be Luana from our admissions team, who is just going to touch a bit on what are the pre-requirements if you want to do this major, what do you need to have, etc. So she's just going to give you a little bit of information, and of course you can ask her questions afterwards. Luana, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon. So to gain entry into this program, you must, of course, have 5 CXC subjects, inclusive of mathematics and English. In addition to having those 5 CSEC subjects, you must have 2 CAPE science subjects. If you do not have the 2 CAPE science subjects, you can either do one of our programs, certificates offered by the faculty itself, food and agriculture, the certificate in agriculture, and the certificate in environmental geography. Both certificates are 1 year. You can also have an approved associate degree with a minimum GPA of 2.5. Final option is persons can also be considered if they have working experience, 5+ working years experience in disaster and risk management, basically.
Okay. Thanks very much, Luana.
You're
We'll
welcome.
be sure to come to you if we have any other questions.
Sure, no problem.
I know that Kevin's hand was up. I'm not quite sure if Kevin wants to come and just ask us his question. We'd love to hear from him, but Kevin had his hand up, so we can allow Kevin to ask his questions. Kevin, are you still there? Okay, Kevin, if it is you're being shut, oh, here he is. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Let's know what you want to hear about this afternoon.
I actually wanted to commend this particular format of academic advisor. I am a former student of the UWI, and the programs I would have selected before, I think, if I had something like this prior to my selection, I think I would have made a more, a better decision.
Right. We understand.
So I think I must commend the team for putting together something like this, and also the lecturers that are responsible for this course. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Kevin. I mean, it's not too late. We'd love to have you again. And look out for us too, because we have several other Ask UWI sessions. We have them nearly every week, nearly every other week on other programs too. So look out for us. Yes, so we look forward to having you. I'm glad you said that. Look out for us, follow us on our social pages. You'll always see the ads, so you can always just log into a session, log into a session, share it with a friend. Yeah, so thanks very much. We appreciate that. We also have a comment in the chat. I think Cyril was asking if it's offered part-time. Dr. Rup, you want to take this question? She's asking if it's offered part-time.
Yes, the course is offered part-time as well. Of course, if you do it part-time, it will take a longer time to complete. Based on how we have it structured, part-time would be like 4 years. But you have to remember that this is a major, right? So a degree, a BSc degree would be like 2 majors. So the flexibility with this program, it also allows you to do something else. So you can major in 2 things. So you can major in this and geography. You can major in this and environmental and natural resources management, for example. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Cyril, I hope that answers your question. Again, let's keep them coming. Our panel is here and ready. We have Dr. Eudoxie, we have Angelina, we have Luana here. So let's answer your questions. There was also one thing I also wanted to find out more about. I know that Dr. Rupnarayan had mentioned some scholarship opportunities, and sometimes, persons want to know what options there are in terms of financial opportunities and things that they could tap into. Can you just discuss this scholarship opportunity you mentioned earlier a bit more for us?
Well, because the program has been endorsed by CRIF, they offer scholarships to a few programs within the entire, not just this campus, but other campuses, programs that are related to disaster risk management. And once you apply, you could get your tuition fees covered, as well as maybe a little stipend going forward to pay your rent, etc. And I think there was another session we did, sort of an outreach, where there are multiple grants and what do you call them again? Bursaries, yes, that are accessible to students. In fact, I myself was amazed at the number of grants and bursaries that students could access. So technically speaking, you could come into this program or any program within the university and you seek out these options. There are many, many ways of funding your undergraduate studies.
Yes, actually, that's quite true. And for those of you who may not know, a bursary is a payment that is made to the student that helps you to pay for tuition. It could be living expenses, etc. So sometimes even when you come in after that first year, and Angelina, this is something that you should also explore. There are several, we have hundreds of bursaries that you could apply for. You just need to check our student support services and look to see what you qualify for, and you'd be very surprised at the number of bursaries there are. There are some that you can get for 1 year, and there are others that you can also tap into for 3 years for the whole program. So Angelina, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about this. I think you need to explore it and check to see. You may very well find yourself getting some serious help over the next 2 years. But remember, I told you, yeah? So we have...
Nataki, one thing,
Sure.
Dr. Tadi just reminded me to mention that DRE is gate approved. The program is gate approved as well.
Well,
So
and
that's another thing to note, right?
Yes, and that's an important point to note, because again, sometimes people are really excited about our programs and not too sure how they're going to finance it. So we have several options here for you. So that's an excellent point. Thanks for that, Dr. Tadio. And Kevin said he can't wait to begin, and we can't wait to have you. And don't forget, Kevin, to take a note of the email addresses and so on, and the links and so on in the chat. You can ask us questions. Dr. Tadio is there answering as fast as her fingers could type. And our team is really excited to hear from you. I know they're really, really passionate too. If it's one thing I know about this team here, especially, they're really, really passionate about the environment. If you give Dr. Eudoxia a chance, he'll talk about this all day. And Dr. Rupnarayan is not backwards at all. They'll talk about this all day. So they're really quite passionate about what they do. So it'll be really good if you could be part of the team. I have a question here. How does the curriculum integrate theory and practical applications to prepare students for real-world disasters and real-world challenges in disaster risk management? So Dr. Eudoxia, maybe you can chat about how we integrate the practical. I think people want to know if they can get practical experience like you have.
Oh, certainly. It is one thing is that the program is built understanding that disaster risk resilience, particularly associated with our agri-environmental areas, are really pragmatic in their application, and they are really data-driven in their application. So certainly, students are going to be afforded that opportunity to understand the tools. And you know, Dr. Narayan had a very nice drone as part of his presentation. So they are going to be exposed to the various tools, whether those tools are tools that are very physical, such as our drones that could take geospatial data for us, or whether those tools are software tools that allow for us to do analytical work in understanding how we could map and how we could appreciate spatial distribution and analysis of that information. Students are going to be exposed to that. The other thing that we recognize that we do a lot of work in that area. And one of the things I think Angelina brought up is that what we try to do is as well, because we work significantly in that field, we expose students to a lot of ongoing work that is happening in that field. So students get a real life experience as to not only what they are learning in class, but how what they are learning in class has pragmatic and meaningful implications in the new world. So I think that is one of the areas where this program really kind of adds a little further dimension and benefit to students in terms of the exposure that they get as part of this program relative to probably some of our other programs. And I think the essence of that is that we recognize that deficiency and we build it into the program. So yes, students are going to have an opportunity to pick up on both the practical tools, and techniques that we use, and as well as soft tools as well in terms of their analytical capacities.
Okay, great. I think that's really important, because one of the things we realize that our future students also want to know is how practical is the program. And I think this is a perfect program here, because it combines the practical and the academic, it combines discussion, it combines all sorts of various things. And it really is very current, because we see what's happening in our specific Caribbean environment, far less the world. And, you know, sometimes we just need to understand how we can make a difference. And I think this is a perfect opportunity here. We have some more information in the chat that we are circulating, so that the rest of you, like Luana and Cyrielle and Marsha and the team who are there listening intently, you all will be able to get information. So we have all the information there. And again, feel free to ask us your questions. Remember, our deadline date for applications is July 31st, 2024. So we just want to make sure that you have all the information you need to sign up with us and join us as we start our 2024 program early in September. I should even say late August, when we start to do our registration and all our orientation activities and so on. And Cyril is asking if we have any online classes. Dr. Rupnarayan, would you like to just speak to any online classes or hybrid classes that we may have for Cyril?
Yes, Cyril. We have some hybrid classes, and I will tell you why. It's another interesting thing that I did not mention is that we have guest lectures from agencies like CCRIF, which is CRIF, ODPM in Trinidad. I have actually asked like our weather news anchor for Trinidad to do some, guest lectures, etc. So we have a variety of different modalities. The courses are not fully online, but you will have options for some of the classes being of a hybrid or blended nature to be online, because we engage persons from regional developmental agencies to assist in delivering, to give that sort of, non-academic perspective of disasters as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cyril says thank you. So again, look how easy we are answering questions here. And Kevin is telling us that he's entering the program with a forestry background. And he was asking if there are any components of the program that zooms in on local forestry disaster risk planning. That's a really specific question there, Kevin. I'm not sure. I think Dr. Rupi, you want to take that one? Or
Sure.
Okay.
So forestry disaster, I mean, is something we would consider, particularly like in terms of bushfires, because that's part of the curriculum in a sense. But, something as very specific as that is where as student, I would advise them, okay, you want to focus on this? I think you should do the research project in your final year. And we then have the opportunity to do that from that particular perspective. But there will be some general theory information and exposure to it. But it is not something that we focus on in exact detail, if you get what I mean, Kevin. But I see he said noted, so.
Yeah, and he said noted, sir. So I guess he is already in class the way he is answering there. And that's a really good idea, because again, if Kevin has a particular focus, he could use that for his practicum. And he could be part of some groundbreaking research. Maybe he could be part of the solution. Maybe he could write a paper that could be used, So Kevin, I think this is the major for you. We just answering our questions here as we come to the last few minutes of our session. It's been a really interesting one, even for me, who I work here at the university, and every time I have one of these sessions, I learn something new about our programs, especially this program, which is so very current, which is so very real, and it's something that is in our faces right now in the Caribbean and internationally. Our major in disaster risk resilience for agriculture and the environment. We just wanted to make sure that for those of you who weren't too sure what the program was about, we wanted to come here to explain to you what courses we have, what are the various facets of the program, how you can get into it, what your pre-requirements are, what career opportunities there are. We just wanted to chat with you about how you could have your academic and practical study here, right here doing this major at our Faculty of Food and Agriculture. And Chloe is just asking, can you provide examples of projects that students may engage with during their studies? Dr. Eudoxie, you wanna, any standout examples of projects that students may engage with during their studies? One or two?
Certainly, there are numerous projects that we work on and students get involved in it. For instance, we worked on a project where we were looking at the reporting requirements for land degradation in Trinidad and Tobago, and that's an excellent opportunity for students in that program to recognize the significance of sustainable soil and land management, and where that fits into disaster risk management. We also have projects as well that focus on things like water management, wastewater reuse. So students can certainly think about aspects of that in terms of the overall environmental sustainability. Dr. Right, there's a lot of work in susceptibility mapping, risk mapping, and modeling. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to come and recognize, build some of those critical skills, get exposed to not just the theoretical components of understanding these competencies, but also to recognize that there's an opportunity for me to see it being done in the field and seeing that as part of that learning experience that I'm getting exposed to. So yes, there are several different types of projects that span the range of combination of agriculture and environment that students will have that opportunity to either do projects in. And as Angelina was mentioning, the nature of how we teach is that we always try to get students involved in what we have at the moment. So they also have an opportunity to work with us on existing projects to get that kind of experience as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Dr. Eudoxie. Before we close off this afternoon, I'd just like to ask Dr. Rupnine, is there any one project, maybe a standout project that you'd like to share with our viewers here this afternoon?
Well, there are quite a few projects that both Dr. Eudoxie and I am involved in, right? He mentioned wastewater reuse. We were very, very critical in helping and supporting the TTBS and WASA in developing a new standard for wastewater reuse or treated wastewater reuse for agriculture and the environment. That has been completed. We're also looking at a very innovative project in the University Field Station on insect farming. That's another one. We're using the larva as a protein source to substitute a protein in livestock feed, poultry and aquaculture. There's a regional integrated water resources management framework that we're also working on, right? That looks at, the IWRM is something that is a fairly new concept where you manage water resources from a integrated manner, looking at land and pollution and soil and gender, climate, everything, right? We are also working on things like that, and we have given opportunities to our students, and that's one of the things that I pay particular attention to. Whenever there's a project, even if it's just to attend and take notes and give them the exposure to see what is happening, I reach out to the students, and whoever is interested, is not mandatory, but if you're interested, you're welcome to join us, And that's just a few. That's just what is at the top of my head.
Yeah, I know that's just a few, because if I give you and Dr. Eudoxie a chance, you will talk about this all afternoon. And I know Kevin, who is answering here, Kevin, he wants to go. He said we look forward to all these opportunities. So we've come to a close of this session, but again, it's been really, really interesting. I think that everyone who is here appreciates the fact that, especially for this major, we really combine the academic and the practical. There are so many opportunities, not to mention the scholarship opportunities and the grants and the very opportunity to be part of a solution and to be part of trying to fix the problem. And I think that's something that, our prospects appreciate, especially Kevin in the corner here of my eye. So again, we'd like to thank all of you. Remember, our deadline date for signing up for this major is July 31st. So again, you may think of a question later on. You may have something else you forgot to ask. Reach out to us on our email, send us a note, and we're really happy to hear from you. Maybe you could even share our video with a friend, because in a day or two, we will be uploading this video to UWI's YouTube channel. So you'll be able to share it, look at it again, maybe just go over some of the information we want to make sure. So we will have it available for you. So please use it to your benefit. And we were so very happy to have you at our Ask UWI session. Look out for us on our social media platforms for upcoming Ask UWI sessions. And again, thank you very much and have a good afternoon.